Part 8. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 71. Idioms must not be spoken anymore, and Han Qian did not dare to tease Yan Qingqing anymore. He adjusted his sitting posture and gave Yan Qingqing a brief explanation. Qian Ling said that she owed Han Qian a favor, but she did not say how to repay it, nor did she. After saying when, he also expressed his gratitude to Sul Yang. Moreover, Han Qian also admitted his plan in disguise, and Qian Ling did not veto it. In short, Qian Ling acquiesced to Han Qian's next step. She would give Han Qian a small help. It was just a matter of words. As for success or failure, Han Qian would have to deal with it himself. Yan Qingqing always feels a little mysterious, is this it? The two of them didn't say anything. They were all relying on guessing? This is Yan Qingqing's most annoying way of communicating. If you have something to say it directly. Han Qian knew what Yan Qingqing was thinking when he saw the way she muttered. He stood up and grinned. I will translate for you next time. Then Yan Qingqing said a bunch of English, and Han Qian was confused when he heard it. English was his flaw. Then Yan Qingqing said a bunch of Korean. Han Qian tilted his head and asked in confusion. No smita appa? Mr. Yan, can you speak Japanese? Just. Yan Qingqing looked at Han Qian and smiled, posing in a very charming posture towards Han Qian. Han Qian clapped his hands and shouted when he saw this. Just thinking about your stockings, Mr. Yan, makes me eat 3 more bowls of rice at noon. Beautiful and delicious. I didn't eat anything this morning. Han Qian left Yan Qingqing's office. 2 minutes later, little Yang Jia heard Mr. Yan's roar in the office. What's going on? Are you showing off your affection again? As soon as Han Qian returned to the general department, Yang Lan was called to the office by Yan Qingqing. Before leaving, she specifically told Han Qian not to fight. He must not fight anymore, and he also told the members of the general department to keep an eye on Han Qian and call her immediately if there is any problem. Now Han Qian is the biggest problem child. He got into trouble with Mr. Yan on the first day of the interview. After that, there was no one without a scratch on his face at work. That is because of his glorious deeds. No one in the general department was willing to mess with him. Guy. Han Qian was just about to take a break when his cell phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. After getting through, he realized it was De Qianer calling. He kept apologizing to Han Qian on the phone and told Han Qian not to provoke Li Dongsheng when he returned to the general department and wait for her. When I came back, I was looking for him to settle the score. Settle accounts? Han Qian asked with some confusion, and hung up the phone after learning that De Qianer was ridiculed by Li Dongsheng when he returned to the general department. Han Qian glanced around his colleagues in the general department. Qian Wan, Sul Yang, and Lu Zhuolong were not there. Li Dongsheng leaned on his chair with a straw in his mouth and looked at Han Qian with disdain. Wu Siquan smiled at Han Qian. After smiling, Han Qian not only smiled back, but also said to have lunch together. These words made everyone in the general department take a breath of cold air. What on earth is this Han Qian going to do? Doesn't he know that Li Dongsheng has made Wu Siquan his girlfriend? Li Dongsheng glared at Han Qian, but Han Qian curled his lips and ignored it. Now that he has not gone to talk to Tu Xiao, Qian Ling's favor has not been used yet, and he will not be stingy in using this favor on Li Dongsheng. Han Qian scanned around and then walked to Qian Wan's computer. Qian Wan was only across the aisle from Li Dongsheng. Han Qian turned on the computer and entered the game. He was very interested in the game Qian Wan had just played. Of course he doesn't do it for fun. At this moment, Li Dongsheng's eyes were about to burst into flames. In the past, he was the emperor in the general department. No one dared to provoke him. He could do whatever he liked, and no one dared to provoke him. Now the entire general department is not allowed to play games. He can't, but Han Qian is playing it openly. This is a challenge to his position in the general department. Why should he? My father is the shareholder of the company. Li Dongsheng took out the stereo unconvinced and was about to open the game when Han Qian suddenly spoke. If you dare to play music or play games, I'll call Mr. Yan right now. The worst case scenario is that you and I will be transferred to other departments. I just want to leave the general department, try it? I'll be in good company wherever I go. As for you, no one wants to be burdened by an extra bonus, but fortunately there are no bonuses in the general department. After all the ridicule, what could Li Dongsheng say? He didn't dare to say anything because he was afraid of being beaten. He only dared to fight with others when his mother was around. At this moment, he also took out his mobile phone and made a call. Mom, I want to transfer someone from the general department. I don't know what was said on the phone, but Han Qian said again when Li Dongsheng hung up the phone. I thought you were going to tell your mother that I bullied you. When Dakian came back with wet clothes, you sneered at him and said where did she come from? That's right. She said that a woman like her should be slapped. Damn it, oh. Dakian told me just now that you called her a bad shoe, right? Don't think about it any better. Li Dongsheng turned around and said sarcastically. They are tattered shoes worn by you and Sul Yang, otherwise whose little girl would go out with you two grown men? She walked with a limp when she came back. Was it because of you and Sul Yang? Mom is absolutely right, a woman like her who is not a woman cannot be married back home. Han Qian took off the headphones hanging around his neck and stood up. While shaking his neck, he clenched his fist with his left hand and made a crunching sound. At this time, Wu Sijuan, who was sitting next to Li Dongsheng, suddenly spoke. Li Dongsheng, how can you say that about Wan Wan and brother Qianer? Even if brother Qianer is in love with Qian Wan, it has nothing to do with you. How can you say that? How unpleasant it is. These words were very harsh in Li Dongsheng's ears. Now Wu Siquan is still helping Han Qian speak. But something was wrong when these words fell into Han Qian's ears. This woman was obviously trying to make a fuss and stir up trouble. Looking at the harmless appearance of humans and animals, she felt a little bit evil inside. Others in the general department saw that Han Qian was about to beat Li Dongsheng, and they quickly got up and came to persuade him to stop him. At the same time, someone also called Yang Lan. Not long after, Yang Lan ran into the general department on a pair of high heels, walked up to her and dragged Han Qian by the ear into her office. Li Dongsheng looked at Han Qian, his eyes were about to burst into flames, and Wu Siquan lowered his head. She took out her mobile phone and sent a message. Not long after, she got up and left the general department. In Yang Ian's office, Han Qian sat on a chair with an unwilling expression on his face and gritted his teeth. Sister Yang, are those words he said human? Just come at me if you don't like me. Didn't you hear what he said about big money? Can't I whip him? I know his father is another shareholder of the company. The worst case scenario is that I whip him and I resign. Yang Lan took a glass of water and handed it to Han Qian, covering his forehead and saying feebly. Calm down, calm down. I have already told Qian that I understand this matter. Xiaozu, just calm down for a while. Mr. Yan was still talking to me just now. You are now helping Mr. Yan in the company. Although your temper makes me, it gave her a headache, but it also made her feel at ease. Didn't you leave the mess to Mr. Yan again by leaving suddenly? Haven't you seen that it was Wu Sijuan who was inciting you to quarrel with Li Dongsheng? I found that this little girl has been sneaky recently. It seems like something is wrong. Just after saying a few words, Lu Zhuolong opened the door and walked into the office. When he closed the door, he still looked back and said doubtfully. When did Wu Saiquan's relationship with Sun Ya become so good that they both started borrowing cars and driving around? Han Qian and Yang Lan looked at each other and said at the same time. Their eyes conveyed the message. This made Lu Zhuolong very unhappy. Why were they still flirting with each other? After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 72. Lu Zhuolong looked at Yang Lan and Han Qian with a puzzled look. Why were they flirting with each other? While he was there, Han Qian didn't say anything to Yang Lan. He stood up and left the office. Within 2 minutes, Lu Zhuolong walked out of Yang Ian's office with a lonely look on his face, walked to Han Qian's side and lay down on the table. It looked so pitiful. Han Qian curled his lips at Lu Zhuolong. This guy is not worthy of pity at all. He is quite old and dishonest. He still thinks about the red flag at home and colorful flags fluttering outside. Forget it if he is single and has a wife and children. If one day his wife finds out that Lu Zhuolong is pursuing Yang Lan, she will definitely come to the company to make trouble. Not only will she not say that Lu Zhuolong is at fault, but she will also falsely accuse Yang Lan of seducing his man. Because of this, Han Qian is right, Lu Zhuolong's impression has never been very good. Listening to this guy sighing next to him, Han Qian couldn't help but ask. When will Deputy Lu plan to divorce? This question made Lu Zhuolong slightly stunned. He raised his head and asked with a frown. When did I say I wanted a divorce? Then you are so clingy to Sister Yang. Do your family members know? Sister Yang treats me like a younger brother. It would be better for Deputy Lu to handle the affairs at home. If your wife finds out one day and comes to the company to make trouble, she will scold her. I beat Sister Yang, so that everyone will be unhappy, and Sister Yang will cause unnecessary trouble because of you. If Lu Zhuolong was single, no matter what his appearance and abilities were, Han Qian would not say these words. After all, they are all single, and pursuit is freedom, but he was not. Lu Zhuolong glanced at Han Qian, lowered his head and sighed. Tone. If he dared to divorce, he wouldn't wait until today. What needs to be said has been said, and it is up to him whether he listens or not. He lay down on the table and rested, closing his eyes and concentrating. Outside the company, Sun Ya had already given the car keys to Wu Saiquan. You take the car and drive it first. Don't worry even if others find out now. The conflict between Han Qian and Li Dongsheng has been aroused. When the two of them really get into trouble, the car will be transferred to you and you can work in my public relations department. It's so good. Your face will be wasted if you don't use it. Sun Ya pinched Wu Sijuan's cheek and walked into the elevator with a smile. When she reached the first floor, Sun Ya had already called Guan Yunbiao and shouted in a sweet voice. Brother Guan, why didn't you answer my call last night? He was drunk and wanted to see you. Guan Degu was next to Tu Xiao, and the phone was on speakerphone. Sun Ya's coquettishness was clearly heard by Tu Xiao. Guan Degu was silent for a few seconds, and then smiled at the phone. Oops. There were some things last night that made it difficult for me to answer my sister's call. Has my sister figured it out? Brother Guan, you are so bad. I'll send you an address so that we, brother and sister, can meet. Guan Degu hung up the phone, and Tu Xiao nodded to Guan Yunbiao with a cigar in his mouth. Go and have a look and see what attractive conditions Gao Jishi can offer. Biozi, this Han Qian is too slippery, be careful and don't get into trouble. I understand. Should I go see Sun Ya now? Mind what's in your crotch. Guan Yunbiao left Tu Xiao's office in a hurry. He made an appointment with Sun Ya to meet at the tea house. This woman, Guan Degu, didn't want to touch her. She was extremely disgusted with him. He turned around and shouted, Brother Guan, who the hell knows what's going on in this bitch's head? Sun Ya is definitely Yan Qingqing's disciple and grandson. They are dressed exactly the same, with stockings, high heels and a hip-hugging skirt. However, Yan Qingqing's hair is burgundy, while hers is black. She is self-aware and knows that she can't handle burgundy hair color. She sat opposite Guan Daegu. The latter gave up his suit today and just wore a red floral shirt to rush to the appointment. The gold chain around his neck was very eye-catching and weighed almost half a caddy. Guan Daegu was not ugly. It just doesn't look good. Sun Ya sweetly called her brother, stood up, walked to Guan Yunbiao and bent down to pour tea. Her tight-fitting hip skirt exposed her voluptuous figure to Guan Daegu's eyes. Guan Daegu held back and chuckled. Sister Sun Ya, are you free today? We are all adults, there is no need to do these lies. Sun Ya returned to her seat with a smile. She held her chin with her hands and looked at Guan Daegu with her lips pouted. The low-cut skirt exposed a piece of white, and she said angrily. Brother Guan, you are so boring. My sister misses you. Guan Yunbiao chuckled, took the tea and smelled it but put it on the table without entering it. This simple action let Sun Ya know that this guy was not that easy to deal with. She took out a bulging envelope and the room card was placed on the table and he smiled softly. Since Brother Guan wants to hear the truth, it's not good for my sister to show off in front of you. Recently I heard that Brother Guan is very close to Han Qian from the General Department. Not long ago, you also told your sister that the head of the two family wants to get along with you. We met with Mr. Gao, and we, Mr. Gao, agreed to this matter. As long as Mr. Tu agrees, everything will be easy to handle. Guan Daegu glanced at the two items on the table, his mind became calmer, and he smiled lightly. It's not important to meet. You, Mr. Gao, want to save face. My master is not someone who comes and goes at a moment's notice. I heard that Glory wants to develop the airport so quickly that it needs builders. My master has some spare money. If you want to invest in transformation, Sister Sun Ya should go back and ask Vice President Gao if he can make the decision. Then I will choose which of the two I will take. As for Han Qian, we are friends and can be considered partners. His sincerity is much more beneficial than that of Sister Sun Ya. Sun Ya laughed after hearing this. Can it be said that Han Qian can still give Brother Guan a room card? My sister has shown all her sincerity. As for whether the matter will succeed or not, we still have to talk about it before we know. Han Qian is just a pawn of Glory. He gave. How much is your sincerity worth? Brother Guan, what do you think? I don't care about this matter, and the same goes for you, Sister Sun Ya. You and I have to go back and ask our master for instructions. If my sister wants to have some passion, my brother won't hesitate. As he spoke, Guan Yunbiao reached out to touch the room key card on the table. Sun Ya quickly held it down, her breathing was slightly rapid, and she suppressed a calm smile. Since Brother Guan is not in a hurry, how can my sister be? Let's keep this room card for celebration on the day when our two families cooperate. Maybe I will give Brother Guan a different surprise, like this. I'll go back prepare our conditions, and Brother Guan also tell sister what you want. I really hope to cooperate with Brother Guan. After saying that, Sun Ya stood up and left. She took the room card but did not touch the money on the table. Shortly after Sun Ya left, Guan Yunbiao called his younger brother and asked him to send the money to Honors Manager of the Public Relations Department, Sun Ya. After the younger brother left, Guan Yunbiao took out his mobile phone and called Tu Xiao. Biozi, call Han Qian now and see what his attitude is. Sun Ya also told Gao Jinqi about the matter. Gao Jinqi was silent for a full minute on the phone and then arrived. The car has arrived. Go get it yourself. Sun Ya suddenly had peach blossoms in her eyes and said softly. Brother, I have a little sister. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, a Huan. Chapter 73. Whether it was Han Jian or Sun Ya, Tu Xiao would make a lot of money by choosing anyone. Han Jian hung up the phone. Did Sun Ya go to see Guan Daegu? Han Jian stood at the door of the general department and frowned in thought. Tu Xiao was very eager to transform. It was getting harder and harder to do gloomy business. If his little tricks were strangled to death, Tu Xiao would also transform from the local emperor in the 8th district. Position dropped. If you don't have money, what can you do to support your younger brother? Sun Ya or Gao Fuling will definitely not be stupid enough to ask Tu Xiao to give up on the transformation. So what can he say if he goes to meet with Guan Daegu? The result of the cooperation between Qing Qing and Tu Xiao is the same. Wrong. Han Jian slapped him on the forehead. If Gao Fulfillment cooperates with Tu Xiao, he will have no way to get money from it. No matter what Gao Fulfillment's purpose is, Han Jian needs money. After shouting to Yang Ian's office, Han Jian turned around and left the general department to find Yan Qingqing. In the office, Yang Lan clenched the ballpoint pen in her hand, her face livid. How could this broken kid show no intention of restraining himself, and dare to leave his post suddenly at the cusp of such a storm? Don't you know that the staff of the general department already have a lot of resentment towards him? But after a while, Yang Lan didn't hear anyone talking about Han Jian. When he stood up and opened the door to secretly observe the staff, he found that these people had a survival after disaster feeling on their faces. Yang Lan understood. Han Jian has been frequently aggressive with others recently, and he has left an impression of violent tendencies in the minds of these colleagues. No one wants to provoke this guy who gets angry at the slightest disagreement. Yang Lan sighed. Maybe it was a good thing to have fought twice. After all, no one in the general department would provoke Han Jian. This also made Yang Lan feel relieved. When he looked up and saw Lu Zhuolong preparing to when he got up and walked over, Yang Lan slammed the office door. Half of the general department are problem children. Lu Zhuolong is not a problem child. He is sick. This is what Yang Lan is thinking. Arriving outside Yan Qingqing's office, Han Jian leaned against Yang Jia's desk. Little Yang Jia put all the hidden snacks on the table, looked at Han Jian with a gossipy face, and said seriously, "Brother Jian, you feel strong after eating this chocolate. Can you drink some water? Don't please me, it's useless. I won't satisfy your thirst for knowledge. I fell asleep at noon and didn't eat. I'm a little hungry." While talking, Han Jian went to touch the snacks and found that he was empty. When he turned his head, he found that Xiao Yangjia was holding all the snacks in her arms. She looked at Han Jian with a wary look on her face. Han Jian reached out and she opened her mouth to bite. Looking at little Yangjia's cute appearance, Han Jian frowned and smiled bitterly. "Are you a dog? Do you want to eat something from you? We have only known each other for a few days. You look fat and round. Don't lie to me. I don't believe it. No matter how much I eat, I won't gain weight. If you don't believe me, go and weigh it." Little Yangjia looked at Han Jian suspiciously and refused to get up. After eating something, Han Jian's stomach was no longer empty, so he suddenly turned around and shouted, "Sister Yang." Xiao Yangjia turned around quickly, and Han Jian grabbed a bottle of Wangzhe milk from her arms, pulled off the ring and took a sip. When Xiao Yangjia was about to kill someone, he smiled and opened Yan Qingqing's door. After he closed the door, when she came to the door, little Yangjia put down her snacks and went to weigh herself. He muttered that he couldn't get fat. In the general manager's office, Han Jian saw the woman in the white suit again. Now he took a closer look at the woman. She was 28 or 9 years old. She was slightly taller than Yan Qingqing and shorter than Wen Wen. He has gold-framed eyes, long hair tied behind his head, no stunning facial features, and is generally very intellectual. Of course, Han Jian would not be deceived by this woman's appearance. Her mouth was a knife. Yan Qingqing frowned and looked at Han Qian, then spoke with a hint of blame. Did you grab the milk from Xiao Yangxia? You. Are you doing what others hate the most? Remember to knock on the door next time you come in. Oh. Han Qian had no intention of going out. He drank milk and walked to the sofa and sat down slowly, laughing softly. Sun Ya went to see Guan Degu. It seems that Vice President Gao wants to support Tu Xiao's transformation. I'm here to ask if you have any ideas. Are you still not optimistic about Tu Xiao? Yan Qingqing ignored Han Qian, raised her head, glanced at the woman in the white suit, and curled her lips. You see, he will definitely not give up. Tu Xiao, who used to keep a distance, suddenly became a favorite. The woman in the white suit turned around and half sat on Yan Qingqing's desk, laughing softly. Tu Xiao has always been a hot commodity. Didn't I tell you that he was able to stay in the city for such a long time without going bankrupt, just doing sideline business? No one wants to provoke this lunatic. After that, he became his boss in the 8th district. Status and intricate network of relationships. If you want to do business in the 8th district in the future, you have to ask him if he agrees after asking at the Yamen gate. Vice President Gao must have seen this. The city is developing very quickly now. The district is close to the city center. What do you think? Yan Qingqing leaned on the boss's chair and folded her arms, frowning and asked. Miss Jijing. Are you asking me or Han Qian? Can you look at me when you speak? Although we have a good relationship, I am also your boss, right? You can't say whether District 8 will be developed or not. What about the fact that I am helping Tu Xiao now and he will be grateful to me? If this kind of person doesn't stab him in the back, I will thank him. If Gao Xingchen likes to do it, let him do it. Aren't you afraid that Gao Jixi and Tu Xiao will play you together? You will be given 2 years to complete the project in half a year. When the time comes, Chang Xiang understands the intention and will immediately start a business that competes with you. Come on, tell me what would you do? Jijing turned around and glanced at Yan Qingqing. Her words made Yan Qingqing go crazy. She grabbed her hair with both hands and said angrily. Then what can I do? Gao Jingchen can let Sun Ya seduce the loser Guan Degu. Who should I let go? Let you go? Jijing. How about you sacrifice for me? You can't get married anyway. Don't you have this little lover named Han Qian? You can't bear to let the child catch the wolf. Jijing looked at Han Qian with a smirk on her face. Yan Qingqing looked at Jijing suspiciously, then looked at Han Qian again and said doubtfully. Tu Xiao likes men. Puff. The milk he just drank squirted on the table. Han Qian really wanted to tear these two girls' mouths apart. The most important thing was that Jijing's eyes were filled with expectation. Yan Qingqing seemed to be wondering whether to take it. Han Qian was given up. After a long time, Yan Qingqing spoke. Han Qian. I shouldn't have come, bye. Han Qian didn't give Yan Qingqing, a bitch, a chance to be stupid. She stood up and was about to walk out the door. Yan Qingqing quickly stood up, ran in a pair of slippers and stopped Han Qian. She held Han Qian's arm with both hands, knowing that his back was injured. Not daring to use any force, he whispered. Don't listen to Aunt Jijing's nonsense. I know you will find a solution when you come here, right? What are you worried about? Gao Jingchen will use tricks. And this title was very precise. Han Qian felt a little relieved, turned around and spoke in a low voice to Jijing Nu. Didn't Auntie already say that Gao Jingchen is not so kind to help you? If he promises Tu Xiao a very high price and you don't accept it, he will find another builder. Think about it, and are there any builders that honor has cooperated with that dare to provoke Tu Xiao? If so, we can ignore Gao Ji. Yan Qingqing sighed feebly and shook her head. Jing, who was sitting on the table, was not affected by the word aunt at all and smiled sweetly. No, nephew, you are very thoughtful. Auntie, don't wear white from now on, it will look bloated. Han Qian's mouth was not merciful at all, and he directly poked the woman's sore spot. Jing was really taken advantage of, stood up and looked up and down, then lowered her head and said softly with a red face. She's just a little plumper than Ching Ching. Han Qian decisively turned around and opened the door to leave. Yan Ching Ching couldn't bear it anymore and turned around and said angrily. Jing, if you want to get mad, go back to your operations department. I'm tired of it now. Can you please be more generous, Han Qian? What are you arguing with this old lady? I'm not an old woman, I'm a big girl. Jing, you are opening your mouth. Do you believe it or not? I will pour coffee all over you. This sentence threatens Jing's life. She is the real misophobic person. The reason why she is not married yet is not that she doesn't like men, but that she can't accept a man touching her, not even with a finger. My heart longs for a man to love me, but I still can't get rid of my own problems. Han Qian took a deep breath. We can't let Gao Xing do it. If he does it, I won't be able to blackmail Tu Xiao. Yan Ching Ching was stunned for a moment, then roared. Han Qian, I will fight with you. Huh? Are you sick? Huh? You're still kicking me, but I'm hiding. Vote. Thanks for the reward, brothers. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 74. Han Qian still didn't hide away. He sat on the sofa and looked at Yan Ching Ching angrily. This girl was unambiguous in her attacks. She really kicked her to death. Now Yan Ching Ching was hiding behind Jing and didn't dare. Look at Han Qian. I'm blackmailing Tu Xiao, but I'm not blackmailing you. Do you think I'm easy to bully? Yan Ching Ching was scared away with a roar. To be honest, a big man can't beat you as a woman. Isn't it just that he is too lazy to argue with you? This is just a slap in the face, isn't it? Look, you see? I don't have many clothes in total, and you kicked me. Do you think I'm Sister Yang, changing one outfit every day? It's going to be winter soon, can't I save some money to buy myself some clothes? Han Qian gritted his teeth and glared, while Yan Ching Ching hid behind Jing, exposed her head, and whispered. I'll pay you, LV said. No. You prepare a contract. Don't stop Tu Xiao from meeting Gao Jingchen now. Tell me after they have negotiated the price. I will push the price down. By then, even if you are the creditor of Mr. Yan, I will have you fallen into a pile of women? How many evils have I done in my last life, meeting a few of you? The more he spoke, the more he felt aggrieved. Han Qian stood up and wiped his eyes with his sleeves, and left Yan Qingqing's office angrily. He was really about to cry with anger. What the hell is this? He sent away the warmth and came back. Now there is also Yan Ching Ching, Aunt Jing, Green Tea Wu Sigwan, and Tomboy Chien Weiner. In my last life, I carried your child and jumped into a well? Han Qian left. Yan Ching Ching breathed a sigh of relief, patted her plump breastplate and took a deep breath. Jing looked at the closed door with a suspicious look on her face and said softly. Are you crying? Can Han Qian really keep the price down and let Tu Xiao cooperate with you? If that's the case, then your position in the company will be stable for a lifetime. It will be no problem for 3 to 5 years. No. He said that when he met you. Do these things include me? Is it a sin to fall into a pile of women? Yan Ching Ching lay weakly on the table and whined. Miss Jing, can you please let me worry less? Han Qian can definitely do it if he says he can do it. I trust him no less than you, or even more than you. Otherwise, how could he become when Nuan's ex-husband is still being chased by this idiot, Nuan Nuan, who is the idiot? Ji Jing turned around, looked at Yan Qingqing and whispered. I would have forgotten about it if you didn't tell me. He is the ex-husband of the vice president of Changxiang. Why did he come to work for glory? Did you hook up with him? After hearing the next 4 words, Yan Qingqing seemed even more powerless, and she slumped on the table and said helplessly. Do you think I can hook up? Didn't you notice that this guy is a talker and doesn't want to look at me? He is very close to Suliang from the general department. I really doubt that he likes men. The more I think about it, the more annoyed I am. Why do all excellent men have some flaws? Am I not beautiful enough? Or are my legs not long enough? I am not as tall as Wen. She is 1.72 meters tall. What do you think? Has she taken chemical fertilizers? Is it too late for me to take it now? Take some yeast. Gun, I don't want to talk to you anymore. When I go out, I tell Yang Jia and ask him to go to Han Qian to ask what kind of contract he wants, and then ask the general department to prepare the contract. While you are talking, I will you throw it away at the construction site, believe it or not. Ji Jing got up and left without any intention of dragging her feet. When Han Qian returned to the office, he looked at the snacks on the table with a confused look on his face. What? How could someone still confess to him like this? You even brought snacks. Isn't this a bit childish? When Han Qian was confused, Yang Lan explained. Little Yang Jia weighed herself and found out that she had really gained 3 pounds. She got scared and gave all the snacks to Han Qian, saying that she wanted to gain weight together and not leave him behind. After hearing the explanation, Han Qian couldn't help but laugh and cry. You must be heavy after just eating at noon. This silly kid, Sister Yang, please share it with everyone. You invited everyone to have snacks at that time. I guess she will ask me to fight tomorrow. Come on, Sister Yang's treat, don't be polite. Han Qian greeted everyone enthusiastically, but no one came to get it. The first was because he didn't dare, and the second was because of Li Dongsheng. Seeing this, Han Qian sighed helplessly and said helplessly. Sister Yang, come here. Mr. Yan also told me some things. I will. Han Qian, the thief, come out and die. Just when Han Qian was about to find an excuse to run away, Xiao Yang Jia angrily went to the general department. There were 2 solutions, either kill her in the general department, or pay her a new set of pig feed. Han Qian looked at Yang Jia with a puzzled look. Asked in a low voice. Can humans eat pig feed? I ate that stuff when I was a kid, and it was quite irritating. I had to pour some water on it when feeding the pigs. Han Qian, I will fight with you. Little Yang Jia was about to be furious. If Manager Ji from the operations department hadn't given a brief explanation, she would have thought she was really fat. Yang Lan frowned and walked up and dragged little Yang Jia by her ears into the office. Han Qian took the opportunity to escape. When he went out, he turned to his colleagues in the general department and smiled. I'm going to buy pig feed for little Yang Jia. Don't be polite. Just treat it as apology for being implicated by me and not being able to play games. After saying that, Han Qian turned around and left. He didn't care whether they ate or not, but Yang Jia seemed to be unable to avoid the snack. He walked downstairs to the main entrance of the company. Now all the company's security guards knew Han Daxian. Come on, there are no such idle people in the entire honor company. Just when he was about to light a cigarette at the door, a small 9.5 was brought to his mouth. Han Qian took it and turned around with a smile. Mr. Gao also came out to show off. Gao Xing looked into the distance with his signature smile and smiled. You will feel depressed if you stay in the office for a long time. Come out and have some fun. Han Qian, do you think the car is expensive? Then it depends on the car. Your ex-mother-in-law's Porsche is actually very cheap. You will always be careful when driving other people's cars. If you want one, it's actually very simple. While they were talking, a brand new Panamera stopped at the main entrance. Sunya got out of the car with a smile on her face. After meeting Guandegu, she received a call from Gao Xingcheng, telling her that the car had already arrived. When it arrives, let her pick it up. Sunya stood by the car and blew a kiss to Gao Xingyi. Gao Xingying nodded with a smile, turned to look at Han Qian and smiled. Come to me whenever you want. You are all smart people. You can give me what I want, so I can give it to you if you want it. As for women, the 7th and 8th tier starlets are lined up to let you choose. I won't rush you, of course the opportunity will disappear because of one of your actions. Haha, a star. My old man once said that the moon in the water is the same as the stars in the sky. Stars should be in the night sky, not in my farmland. They cannot be raised, and they cannot stand when they fall. Ah! Gao Xingcheng didn't know whether he was laughing or humming. He walked down the steps and left Glory with Sun Yat. Han Qian stared at the white paramela of the same style with cold eyes. Gao Jingcheng is not a bull, he can only be the kind of thing Yuan Shao is. Yan Qingqing would annoy Li Dongsheng for him, but Gao Xingcheng would definitely hide Han Qian for Li Dongsheng. At least, that's what Han Qian thought. There are many reasons. The most basic and simple one is that Gao Jingcheng has no shortage of characters like Han Qian around him, and Yan Qingqing is in urgent need of them. Under Yan Qingqing's hands, Han Qian could use his fists and kicks freely. After finishing my cigarette, I took out my phone and took a look. It's 2 o'clock, it's time to get off work. Han Qian walked down the steps, and the same paramela drove away from the parking lot at the front entrance of Glory. In the opposite direction to home, Han Qian went to the hospital and the office of the general manager of Glory. Xiao Yangjia looked at Yan Qingqing with a worried look on her face and whispered. Road. Mr. Yan, it seems that Han Qian left early. I gave the information you told Yang Lan from the general department. The carbon pen in Yan Qingqing's hand paused for a moment, and then was abruptly broken into 2 pieces. She kept comforting herself in her heart, saying that she couldn't be angry, and she had to endure the evil she had done. Which way are you going? It seems to be heading towards the hospital. 5 minutes later, the red raptor sped away with a blast of the accelerator. There was a baseball bat and a sack in the passenger seat. Endure the calm for a moment, take a step back, and be shattered to pieces. Can't retreat. Han Qian, just wait to die. My sister will pamper you well. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 75. Suliang was lying on the hospital bed watching a movie on his mobile phone. What he knew was that he only injured his finger, but those who didn't know thought it was an amputation. Han Qian sat aside and gnawed on an apple sent by a little girl who didn't know who it was. Anyway, Han Qian, after sitting here for less than 20 minutes, there were already 3 little girls who came to see Suliang, and one of them was Han Qian who went out to cover. I'm really worried that you didn't die on the hospital bed, but died of exhaustion that day. Have you understood all this? Suliang turned around and chuckled. I definitely don't understand the conversation. I often answer the phone and call the wrong name. If I don't understand the conversation, just give her freedom. Don't say that you are absent from work again today. Be careful that Lady Yasha is trying to kill you. Today Qianwan called me in the morning and said that how do you feel about Auntie going to the company? Han Qian took a bite of the apple and said vaguely. It's not that good. I feel that the chance of using Qianling to deal with Li Dongsheng is not high. But it does help me with another thing. Wu Siguan's matter has been clarified. She is very close to Sun Yat. Today, Gao Fulai has another. You tried to win me over once, but I still didn't agree. That's fine if you don't agree. Can you help me go through the discharge procedures later? If you don't go out, my fish pond is really going to catch fire. Are you driving? Are you going to have a drink? I'm just here to drink with you. By the way, I want to see my brother, let's come together. Suliang had no need to be hospitalized at all, but he just wanted Jianwan to know that he was hospitalized to protect her. To sound a bit scary, Suliang changed his clothes and went downstairs to go through the discharge procedures with Han Qian. The hospital doctor happily after Suliang was discharged from the hospital, he was just occupying beds and wasting resources. The two walked out of the main entrance of the hospital talking and laughing. Yan Qingqing called. She sat in the car and watched the two evildoers Han Qian and Suliang walking side by side and laughing. Han Qian frowned and looked at the phone and answered. Tong Hao frowned. Is the contract finished? Yan Qingqing gritted her teeth while holding back the anger in her heart. Am I the boss or are you the boss? Han Qian, you won't pay me a salary. Where are you now? I'm smoking downstairs. You know, I will quarrel with Li Dongsheng in the general department. I'll go find you downstairs. You haven't changed your dressing yet. I'll change it for you. Han Qian hesitated for a while and hung up the phone. Suliang, who was on the side, heard the conversation on the phone clearly, looked at Han Qian with admiration, and then gave a thumbs up like a mummy bandaged. Admire. Han Qian curled his lips and said softly. It's awesome. Why don't I leave as soon as I dare? It's just our Mr. Yan, haha. If she doesn't let me come out, why don't I slap him? Man. Pure man. Suliang kept nodding his head and whispered in agreement. Man, really a man. When Han Qian was bragging, he didn't know that Yan Qingqing had gotten out of the car and followed them. In order to prevent the sound from the high heels, she walked barefoot. Listening to Han Qian's bragging, she curled her lips. Han Qian hadn't noticed that there was another person not far behind him, so he put his arm around Suliang's shoulders and said. What? Why don't you say goodbye to your nurse sisters? I want it, I want it, I want this. Suliang turned around and just raised his hand to wave when he saw Yan Qingqing carrying a baseball bat. His brain stopped working for a moment. Why did this empress appear here, saying hello with a forced smile? Mr. Yan. Han Qian was slightly startled after hearing this, then curled his lips and said. Don't tease me, she's still in the office right now. Yes. How dare the little girl sneak out of the company without Han Daxian-er's order? Don't you have to inform Han Daxian-er wherever you go? Han Qian. Give you a chance. Should you and I go back to the company or go and solve the problem? Two xiaos matter. Yan Qingqing looked at Han Qian, who had already tensed up, with disdain. Han Qian didn't turn his head, raised his head and looked at the sky and sighed softly. Hey. It's going to rain, and my mother has to get married. It doesn't matter if you go early or late. Liang you go home to recuperate first, and I'll go see Guan Yunbiao. Han Qian really didn't dare to look back. He was afraid that this woman would smash his head with the heel of her high-heeled shoes. As expected, she could clearly hear the boast he just made. He couldn't resist anymore. It was wrong. Han Qian abandoned Suliang and ran away. Suliang scratched Yan Qingqing awkwardly, then turned around and ran away, shouting as he ran. Qian I didn't bring any money. You can send it home to me. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Han Qian finally met Guan Degu after running around the city for a long time. The fact that he ran around for a long time had nothing to do with Guan Yunbiao. It was completely caused by Suliang's fun. He made one phone call after another, and then, the appointment was repeated, and Han Qian became the driver and took Suliang for a long walk around the city. Finally, Han Qian snatched him away and yelled angrily at the coquettish girl on the phone. Don't be so damn tired. Your brother Liang's son is already 3 years old. Sul Yang, get out of the car right now and get out of here. At the main entrance of Haihua Middle School, Guan Yunbiao came to pick up the eldest daughter of their family. Han Qian did not make an appointment elsewhere, so he also picked up Jiai. Guan Yunbiao handed Han Qian a cigarette, and Han Qian shook his head. I can't finish a pack of cigarettes in 3 days. I've smoked enough today. Did Sun Ya seduce you this afternoon? Are you excited? Guan Yunbiao lit his cigarette and curled his lips. My heart is not moved, but my cock is moving. This bitch is not a simple thing. I am afraid that she will accuse me of rape afterwards. Now Gao Xingcheng seems to want to cooperate with our master. Brother Han, you are in danger. Han Qian curled his lips and leaned against the car door cautiously. Dangerous? I am not dangerous at all. If there is no high performance, our Mr. Yan will not be willing to cooperate with you, Brother Guan. You have to show some sincerity, right? No, don't ask me. I'm just a loser. If you have anything to do, you can talk to our master. Guan Dagu looked at Han Qian warily, fearing that he would be let in without saying anything. Han Qian smiled and didn't care, patted the car door, smiled at Guan Dagu's car. The eldest daughter of yours came here in a broken Nissan when I picked her up. Tu Xiao is a bit stingy. You are loyal and he will give you this broken car? No wonder Tu Kun was always bullied in school. In total, you are not good at it? Don't have a small animal at home. A Land Rover or Jaguar will do. Guan Dagu lowered his head and pouted. We can't compare to your glory, or enjoy such a large group. Hundreds of people support the master and support the family. The money paid to the convicted brother in the past few years is a big expense. My master is not willing to buy a car. It's okay to buy a Mercedes-Benz. How about you come to glory? If nothing else, I can buy you a big Buick. Do you believe that when you gave me the Buick, I gave it to my master to pick up the eldest daughter? Brother Han, please stop teasing me. Don't you have 100,000 in your hand? Isn't the entire down payment enough? I'll give it to my subordinates. We can't let their wives and children starve to death, right? Brother Han, do you want you to feel aggrieved? I'll get the remaining 300,000 from Lin Zongheng. You, I'm going to slap you. Han Qian laughed and scolded Guan Dagu, but the latter had no intention of joking with Han Qian. He raised his head and sighed, and Han Qian said with a smile. Hey, hey, hey. Seeing you die like this gives me a headache. Don't cry about poverty here. Doesn't your master have a few entertainment businesses? As for what you said is so miserable. 4 out of 7 businesses have been sealed. Brother Han, can you please stop me from pretending to be stupid? With your relationship with the Wen family, do you know that my master will be the target of surgery after the strict crackdown order is issued? I don't know which grandson will report it. Yes, the baths have been sealed, and the young lady has been taken away. Without the young lady, what a waste, Brother Han, I won't talk to you anymore, no wonder you always get beaten, you deserve it. Brother Guan, let's talk again. Get out. If I don't talk to you, you're stupid for bullying me. Guan Yunbiao opened the door and got in the car, closing the windows on a hot day. He made it clear that he didn't want to say another word to Han Qian. In fact, Han Qian already understood almost everything at this point. Tu Xiao in the 8th district is not in a hurry to transform, but this guy has no money. Guan Dagu said that it is pure nonsense to say that there is no lady and he will not make money. 4 businesses have been closed. This is not as simple as not making money. Tu Xiao has to rely on something. As for the foster brother in the business, how much wealth can he have if he only contributes money if he doesn't take in any money? How much does my brother's expenses cost? How much does the rent for a business cost? I'm getting some money for my brother in prison. Even if his business is worth 2 million, it is only over 10 million. Now that the business has been blocked, no one dares to take over. Most of the reason is that no one wants to be associated with Tu Xiao. He still has a lot of money. As long as he goes bankrupt, his status in the 8th district will be impacted immediately. Han Qian laughed. He thought of a way. At 6 o'clock, two children, Li Jiayi and Tu Kun, walked out of the school gate side by side. Only two children came out and no other students were seen leaving school. Han Qian frowned. Li Jiayi and Tu Kun also saw Han Qian. Tu Kun abandoned them instantly. Li Jiayi waved to Han Qian and shouted, "Uncle." Han Qian nodded and frowned. "Why are you two the only ones out? Where are the other students?" Tu Kun pursed his lips and said nothing. Li Jiayi stepped forward and whispered, "Uncle, I leave a little earlier than other students every day. My mother gets off work at 9 o'clock, and I have to cook for my mother when I get home." "Oh. Don't go home and be busy. Let's go. I'll take you to dinner." "Xiao Tukan, are you going?" "Go." Hearing the reply coming from behind, little Tu Kun had opened the back door and sat in. He was lying on the window with his hands and squinting, smiling. Then Han Qian saw Guan Dago standing with a sore face. Tangled in the distance, when he saw Han Qian, he immediately got into the car and did not come out. It's the third update. Vote. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 76. In the car, Han Qian was driving, with Li Jiayi and Xiao Tu Kun sitting in the back. When he saw the two children in the rearview mirror, Han Qian couldn't help but smile and said softly, "I heard that you took a mock exam recently. Are the results out yet?" Hearing his uncle's question, Li Jiayi quickly replied, "It hasn't come out yet. I estimate that my score should be around the top 20 in the year group. If I perform well, I should be in the top 10, uncle. I am very confident in Chinese, biology, and chemistry. This is English, English." Han Qian suddenly remembered the scene in the morning when Yan Qingqing was fluent in English, and then he thought about the little white-eyed wolf at home. She didn't speak English, so she didn't know what to do, so she smiled in the rearview mirror. "You can sign up for an English class, but you don't seem to have much time. I'll go home and ask your aunt when if she knows it. If she can teach you, she should know it. How are you, little Tukan?" The teacher said, "I've made progress. I'm not a pervert like Li Jiayi, and I can still estimate scores. By the way, why don't you give my aunt a call?" If the little girl hadn't said anything, Han Qian would have forgotten about Nuan's meal and handed the phone to Li Jiayi. "Call your aunt when?" Li Jiayi took the antique from Han Qian's hand and was slightly surprised when he opened the call record. He looked at Xiao Tukan and dialed his aunt's number. There were only 3 people in the phone book, his aunt and his grandma, and then there is also a person named here. When the call was dialed, Xiao Tukan couldn't help but ask, "Uncle, you don't save the number? Can you remember who is who? It's almost like everyone knows it. I don't have the habit of saving numbers." "How perverted. I'm going to hit you for swearing." At this time Nuan answered the phone and Li Jiayi said quickly, "Auntie, this is Jiayi. I'm driving. I said we're going out to eat tonight. We'll pick you up now." "Oh. Okay, then I'll tell you, Auntie, you have a good rest." After hanging up the phone, Li Jiayi leaned forward and whispered, "Uncle, my aunt said that she is not feeling well and wants you to bring some food back." Uncle, do you want to go back and see your aunt? Han Qian shook his head and said softly. No, let's count the days until she feels unwell. I can just go back and take care of her. Jiai, you have to study hard and don't worry too much about things at home, otherwise your mother's hard work will be in vain. The same goes for you, little toucan, when you grow up, you will have to accept your father's business. You can't just open your eyes when discussing business with people and you can't read a word, right? Studying is actually not difficult. If you have time during the winter vacation, I will let you Aunt Wen will take you to her company to have a look, and then you will know what it means to work hard. What do you want to eat? Li Jiai scratched his head and said he wanted to eat KFC, but was slapped on the back of the head by Xiao Tukan and said angrily. You are stupid. My uncle is not poor, so don't save money for him. I want to eat hot pot and go to Wula Manchu. The excited little toucan became quiet and whispered. Brother-in-law, do you even remember the days of your aunt and uncle? I heard from my dad that you are still studying cooperation with him recently. Aren't you tired? There are so many things in your head, I'm just pretending to be Li Jiai. I'm almost exhausted. Maybe Jiai has been running around in your head all day, so you won't be tired if you ask him to be quiet. Little toucan was lying half in the back seat, with her head resting on Li Jiai's lap. She was very comfortable. She had had enough of sitting in that shabby Nissan. The car stopped at the outer entrance of Wula Manchu Hot Pot restaurant. Panamera was very inconspicuous here. There were many cars worth more than 1 million yuan, including a supercar, the same model as Qianwan. The prices of cars in the parking lot also told them that this hot pot restaurant is not cheap. When a young boy and a young boy walked into the hot pot shop, little toucan took the lead, choosing the location, choosing the base of the pot, ordering food, and not forgetting to ask the waiter if they could order one to take away, and also a portion of the pot base. This little girl's emotional intelligence is not low, but it's a pity that she can't get it right. While waiting for the food to be served, Han Qian saw Guandegu squatting outside the window. Han Qian waved to him, and Guandegu raised his head proudly. As a result, Xiao Tukan made him squirm with just one phone call. When I came in, I didn't forget to ask for a set of tableware. Brother Guan. No. Ancestor. Han Daxian I've been hungry all day, can you let me eat? You are asking me, do you believe it or not that I will dive into this hot pot? I was asking you if you wanted some dipping sauce. Guandegu didn't say anything, stood up and went to get it by himself, but the waiter told Xiao Liao that he would deliver it when the food was served. Guandegu didn't come back empty-handed, and took 4 cans of Coke. After the hot pot was served, Li Jiai was very sensible. Become the one who serves the bureau. Xiao Tukan is next to Guandegu, and Han Qian is next to Li Jiai. The little girl was eating hot pot and drinking Coke with a satisfied look on her face. Sitting by the window and turning his head, he could see the cars outside. Xiao Tukan suddenly asked. Uncle, how much does your car cost? Han Qian took out the meat with a spoon and distributed it to the 2 children, laughing softly. You mean that Porsche? It's not mine, it's your Aunt Wen's. The price of the car is more than 970,000, 980,000, and the final price is around 1.1 million. If you like it? Brother Han. Do it. The words were interrupted by Guandegu, who looked at Han Qian with a resentful look on his face. Han Qian couldn't help but shook his head, smiled, picked up the Coke, and said with a wry smile. If you like it, you can make enough money to buy one when you grow up, but I suggest you buy a Wrangler. It's very heroic for girls to drive a Wrangler. Brother Han. Do you believe I can finish this hot pot? Guandegu spoke again. Han Qian quickly raised his hands in a gesture of surrender, but Xiao Tukan looked at Guan Yunbiao with a look of horror and expectation, and said in surprise. Uncle Guan, you are awesome. Puff. It was not Han Qian's table that made the small noise, but the people at the table behind them. Han Qian paid little attention to it, but Guan Degu couldn't bear it. The people at this table could laugh at him, but others couldn't. He went to ask for an explanation from the person who made the small noise. When he got up and walked over, he replied within a few seconds, which surprised Han Qian. Asked doubtfully. What's wrong? Your temper has improved. Guan Degu lowered his head and whispered. Can't afford to offend. At this time, there was also ridicule from the other side. Guan Degu, you'd better be more honest, and now your master Tu Xiao must also be more honest. The voice was very familiar, and Han Qian frowned, but Xiao Tu Kun couldn't stand someone talking about her father, so he stood up and said angrily. You. Guan Degu looked embarrassed, but he also stood up. Opposite him was a group of young people aged 17 or 18 who also stood up. Han Qian frowned. Who's on the other side? Guan Degu lowered his head and said helplessly. Li Jinhai's second son. Han Qian was taken aback for a moment and then spoke tentatively. Li Er. Who the hell calls me Li Er? Brother-in-law. He is indeed a guy who is not easy to offend. Only then did Guan Yunbiao understand one thing. Why did Li Jinhai call his master and ask them not to provoke Han Qian? Li Er pushed away his friends and ran all the way to Han Qian's table. Han Qian grinned. Brother-in-law, what a fate. You don't go to see me either. I didn't cause any trouble today. I was in the top 10 of my class in the mock exam. My dad specially asked me to come out to play, huh? Brother-in-law, why are you with Guan Degu? Han Qian frowned and said in a deep voice. There are no rules, be careful I tell your dad. No. Brother-in-law, would you mind having an extra set of bowls and chopsticks? Eating with a bunch of kids is so boring. Little brother, how about joining in? Just as Li Jiayi was about to stand up, Han Qian stretched out his hand to hold Li Jiayi's shoulder, looked at Li Er and frowned. Go and bring the chair yourself. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 77. Tu Kun, Jiayi, you two are so blessed that you don't know how awesome my brother-in-law is. I lived in my sister's house for 2 months. In the morning, my brother-in-law pulled me up for a run, and then supervised me. After doing my homework, he taught me all kinds of weird knowledge. When I participated in wilderness survival during the winter vacation, I lived alone outside for a month. In the end, I ended up living in a humming house. Jiayi. Give it to me. My brother-in-law calls me uncle, so you have to call me uncle. You are in the 3rd year of junior high, right? If you don't understand, come and ask me. If you don't have any other ability, just study well. Let me tell you, no one has beaten me when I grow up. My brother-in-law is really hands-on. Han Qian didn't hear much of the compliment, but rather he was bragging. Li Er was drunk, Guan Degu didn't say a word, and lowered his head to eat the food. Tu Kun looked at Li Er with a bored look on his face. Li Er's original name is Li Kong. He is the second eldest son in his family. He has an older brother who has settled abroad. Han Qian curled his lips and looked at Li Er and whispered. Don't yell. Your dad has a special position. You should keep a low profile outside. Don't get into trouble if you can't help him. If you have time, give Jiayi a tutor in English. He's a little behind in this area. No problem, nothing but good English. Speak English. No problem. I'm not good at anything else. I'm good at English. After all, I have to communicate with our sister-in-law. I'll teach him after the winter vacation. But, brother-in-law, I have to make up lessons for Jiayi at your house. Whatever you want, but I'm at work now and don't have time to play with you. I just bought Devil May Cry 4 and I can't beat it. I can come to my house on weekends. Your sister and I have moved. Leave your contact information with GIEI, and don't open your mouth or shut up before calling other people's names outside. Tu Xiao can be considered your elder, a bit to be polite. This girl is Tu Xiao's precious daughter, so I'll take her with me during makeup classes. Tu Kun looked reluctant and was about to retort when Guan Dagu reached out and grabbed the eldest lady's arm, raised his head and looked at Han Qian with a grateful expression. For half an hour, Li Er was bragging at the table. Han Qian was really having a headache. In the end, he couldn't help but said, "Your sister is still waiting for me at home." After giving the order to expel guests, Li Er stood up and said with a smile, "Brother-in-law, please walk slowly. I'll just pay for the meal together. I'll throw you 2,000. Not enough? Then I won't give it. Okay." Li Er doesn't have any evil intentions at all, and his personality is not arrogant. He just said that he was too energetic and could not pretend to be troubled. At the beginning, Li Jinhai was also worried that Li Er would cause trouble. After talking to Li Jinhai several times, it was suggested by Li Jinhai that it be sent to her son-in-law. 2 months. Li Er became better behaved when he returned home. He no longer contradicted his mother. He still disliked Li Jinhai. At least he stopped quarreling. "Even if my study progresses by leaps and bounds, I won't stay up late and sleep until the afternoon of the next day." Little Tu Kun got into Guan Yunbiao's car, and Li Jiai obediently got into the car holding the packed hot pot. Outside the car, Guan Yunbiao took out the cigarette, handed it to Han Qian with both hands, and said softly, "Brother Han, I cannot thank you enough for your kindness." Han Qian shrugged and smiled. "I said I didn't arrange it carefully, but it was just a coincidence. Do you believe it? If Li Er becomes friends with Jiai and Tu Kun, I would like to see it, so that he would not have to go out and have contact with unscrupulous people. But I don't want Tu Xiao to let this happen. There are interests involved among several children, do you understand?" "I know, Brother Han. Over there with Gao Jixi. Continue to contact, but don't rush to sign the contract. When Tu Xiao asks, just say I let it go, but do me a favor and call me immediately after your master meets Gao Jingcheng and tell me the details. Also, tell me." Tu Xiao stopped all Tu Kun's pocket money. "Is it related to the young lady's pocket money?" "Don't ask, I'm going home, bye." Han Qian turned around and left. After stubbing out the half-smoked cigarette, he kicked it into his pocket instead of throwing it away. This small gesture made Guan Dagu extremely satisfied. Li Jiai didn't say a word in the car and held the hot pot in his hand seriously. When he returned to the community and walked out of the elevator, Li Jiai turned to Han Qian and smiled. "Uncle, thank you." Han Qian smiled. "What did little Tu Kun tell you? Study hard and try to make the Tu family look at you with admiration one day. Don't be like my uncle, who grows up and has no future." Li Jiai skipped away, and Han Qian also went back upstairs. As soon as he opened the door, Wen Nuan rushed over and rummaged through the belt in Han Qian's hand to find what she wanted. Looking at Wen's clothes, Han Qian frowned. "Road. You're just wearing this? Why don't you freeze to death?" Wen Nuan wore Han Qian's white shirt on his upper body and shorts on his lower body. His slender legs were exposed to the air. He ran barefoot in the living room. Nuan, who couldn't find the ice cream, raised his head and looked at Han Qian resentfully. He said pitifully, "Brother Qian, I want ice cream." Han Qian handed the hot pot to Wen Nuan and frowned. "I think you look like an ice cream cone. I'll stick you in the refrigerator and you'll be honest. I'll eat it in 5 days. I don't want to eat it after 5 days, Clear soup pot. Brother Qian." The Lun family wants something spicy. You pack up and I'll send you to your mother. Then go and heat it up. Han Qian snorted, took off his shoes and walked into the kitchen, taking out the alcohol block, rack, and copper pot. It didn't take long for the room to be filled with the smell of hot pot. Han Qian walked to the second floor and came downstairs with more in his hands. A pair of pants. I'm going to open the window and put on my pants. Get dressed after eating. I'm not cold. Han Qian, are you a man? I carefully prepared to seduce you, but you didn't react at all. Try me to buy you ice cream. It's not that Han Qian didn't react. Until now, he didn't dare to look at Wen Nuan's legs. Her legs were so perfect. 5:8. The golden ratio made her legs look perfect, fair, and slender. If her legs were to be used as a leg model, they would probably ruin the jobs of many leg models. Han Qian sat on the sofa and told her about his encounter with Li Er that night. I asked Nuan, but Nuan didn't take it to heart and just replied. After eating a few mouthfuls of warmth, I lost my appetite. I stood up and walked to the sofa to sit down next to Han Qian. To be precise, I nestled next to Han Qian. I grabbed Han Qian's arm with both hands and whispered pitifully. Han Qian. If you want to eat ice cream, just take a bite, okay? No. Don't even think about it. Brother Qian, just one bite. Not even one bite. Nuan, can you please stop torturing me when I'm my aunt? Husband. Holy shit. One bite, you said it? If you take one more bite, I'll send it back to you. Han Qian stood up and went downstairs. When he came out of the door, Han Qian slapped himself. No future. Does your husband give in just once? In the living room, Nuan was rolling on the sofa holding a pillow, her face flushed and hot. No future. Are you willing to give up your face just for a stick of ice cream? After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 78. When Nuan looked at the popsicle in his hand and couldn't come back to his senses for a long time. Where on earth did Han Qian buy such a small ice cream? The colorful packaging was about the size of a palm. There were several colorful small ice creams inside, one of which was only as big as a pacifier. Han Qian held 4 in his hand, colorful and warm, with only one white and creamy one in his hand. Han. As soon as Wen said a word, Han Qian opened his mouth and stuffed all 4 small ice cream cones into his mouth. He puffed his mouth and turned to look at Wen. He tilted his head as if asking her what happened, and Wen licked pitifully. After a moment, he whispered. Too small. Woo 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 woo. There was too much in his mouth, and Han Qian couldn't say anything intelligible. He chewed and swallowed quickly, then lowered his head and rubbed his temples with both hands. The ice has arrived again. Wen Nuan licked the ice cream in small mouthfuls. The coldness in her throat made her very satisfied. But after a few minutes, there was only one stick left in the small ice cream in her hand. Wen Nuan turned around and knelt down next to Han Qian, holding it with both hands. Han Qian's arms and a pair of big eyes kept blinking at Han Qian. Han Qian raised his other hand and pushed it on the warm and smooth forehead, saying softly. Don't push yourself too hard. It's good if I only let you eat one. And you said you only took one bite. I also ate the popsicles and the hot pot. Go, and go to bed. Nuan knelt down on the sofa, raised his right hand and stretched out a finger, and whispered. I'm eating one, but I won't eat any more, Brother Qian. I don't even buy it for you when I call you Dad. My aunt eats it every time I come here. My stomach hurts after eating. Why are you so shameless? Husband. To save face, call your ex-husband. The method you used is useless after the second time. If you have nothing to do and want to harass people, why don't you change the medicine for me? Han Qian didn't give Nuan Nuan a chance to eat ice cream at all. Nuan Nuan was so angry that he lay on the sofa and vented his anger on a pillow with his fists. How could he look like a vice president of a company with such a useless look? Letting Nuan Nuan languish on the sofa, Han Qian got up and went upstairs to find a medicine bag. He was not worried at all that Nuan Nuan would go downstairs to buy it for himself. First of all, she was a homebody and lazy, and secondly, she was afraid of the dark. It was fine to drive. She doesn't have the ability to walk around the community. Han Qian had just found the medicine bag with his front feet, and Nuan Nuan followed him in, glaring at Han Qian angrily and saying angrily, "Buy me ice cream and I'll give you some medicine. I'll go downstairs and ask Jiai to give me some medicine." Ah! Han Qian, can you be more humble to me? No, stop yelling. In the middle of the night, the neighbors think I hit you. Be good. Come here and give me medicine. Han Qian took off his shirt, revealing a body that was not broad but muscular. His lower abdomen did not have 8-pack abs. If he stretched out his hand and touched it, he could find 4. Nuan Nuan looked at Han Qian's figure and curled his lips, muttering in a low voice, "Weak chicken." Han Qian turned around and said angrily, "Duck. You are scolding me, do you believe me if I sprinkle some salt on you?" Faced with the threat, Han Qian decisively gave in. Since this bitch dared to say it, she would dare to do it. Today's warmth was not as gentle as the previous 2 times. She reluctantly wiped off the remaining medicine on Han Qian's back with a cotton swab. Finally, she got the gauze from someone unknown where and asked Han Qian to sit up and remove his hands from Han Qian's armpits. Reach down and bandage the wound. Han Qian felt strange and whispered, "Is ice cream so tempting to you? Your stomach hurts if you eat too much. Didn't you obey me when I told you not to fight? Now you're going to teach me a lesson." The bandage was knotted under Han Qian's armpit. A series of movements seemed to make Wen Nuan very tired. He lay on his side on the tatami bed and stared at the roof in a daze. Han Qian pulled the quilt and covered Wen's legs. This bitch is real. She wasn't wearing the pants given to her. Wen Nuan kicked off the quilt in a bad temper. Han Qian curled his lips and pulled her over again. This time Nuan Nuan didn't resist. Han Qian sat cross-legged next to Nuan Nuan and laughed softly. "I'll eat it when you're well. Do you think bringing Li Er and Tukan in contact will have any impact on my second uncle?" Nuan Nuan turned his head and glared at Han Qian, then shook his head. "Just being ordinary friends won't have any impact. If it were someone else, I wouldn't worry about it. Li Er's words are still a little troublesome. You don't know his temper. Whenever someone around him encounters something, he will definitely pat his chest and shout, 'She death,' for a confidant. I'm worried that his close relationship with Jiai and Xiao Tukan will affect his second uncle's future. But the reverse is also good. If Tu Xiao wants to support his second uncle to continue to be in his current position, let him. The security in District 8 has become more stable, which is also a benefit. In short, it depends on how these children get along. I want to eat ice cream, Han Qian, buy it for me." "No, I'm too tired today." As he spoke, Han Qian lay down, looked at Nuan Nuan with his head on one hand, and sighed after a long time. "Why haven't I seen you grow taller? Why are you so big?" Boom. Putting her slender white jade legs on Han Qian's belly, she stood up and left Han Qian's room. Then Han Qian heard the sound of Wen Nuan closing the door forcefully. In the room, Nuan Nuan leaned against the door, looking down at his chest, and said feebly after a long time, "Why don't you two live up to your expectations?" Click. There was a clear thunder, and it rained heavily outside the window. The warmth did not respond much. I put on my headphones on the bed and turned on the computer to watch the animation of 2 bears and a man. In another room, Han Qian opened the window, knelt on the tatami and smoked. Cigarette. He likes rainy days very much, and he likes the sound of rain. Only in this way can he be completely quiet and not think about anything. In a luxurious villa in the new district, Lin Zongheng took off his glasses and closed his computer. There have been a lot of things going on in the company recently, and the board of directors and company executives can test his abilities. Lin Zongheng is not afraid of any of this. He is confident in handling these things. But Han Qian was so disruptive that he couldn't calm down and work. Walking to the window, Lin Zongheng looked at the rain outside the window, feeling even more irritable. He didn't like rainy days, he liked clear skies. Drawing the curtains, Lin Zongheng took out his mobile phone and dialed Gao Fulai's number. The news that the general manager of Glory and the vice president were not on good terms was not a secret in their circle. Yan Qingqing defended Han Qian everywhere, so it was definitely not Gao Fulai. People. Hello. Gao Xingcheng answered the call. Lin Zongheng frowned, with a bit of dissatisfaction on his face. After the hello, some women's special voices came from the phone. Lin Zongheng suppressed his dissatisfaction and gritted his teeth. I am Lin Zongheng, Vice President Gao. Before he finished speaking, Gao Xingyi handed the phone directly to the woman below him. The woman took the phone and said softly, "Handsome guy, there's extra money for 3 people." Lin Zongheng hung up the phone and paced in the living room angrily, cursing angrily. What the hell, the dignified vice president of Glory is still calling a chicken. In another apartment, Sun Ya was lying on the bed laughing so hard that she lost all her strength. Gao Xingyi was sitting on the sofa, smoking a cigarette and curling his lips. Silly big turtle. Sun Ya stood up and pulled the towel to cover her body, walked out of bed, poured a glass of water for Gao Xing, and said with a smile, "Why did you use this excuse to reject Lin Zongheng? He hasn't said anything yet." Gao Xingyi shook his head to indicate that he didn't want water, and curled his lips. What can the people in Changxiang say that are beneficial to me? The Lin family treats everyone as fools. Now the largest shareholders of Changxiang are the Lin family and the Wen family. Lin Zongheng and Wen Nuan are about the same age. They should have been the two we were walking together, but Han Qian suddenly appeared in the middle of the road. Tell me, what could Lin Zongheng do to me? Sun Ya suddenly realized it, but then she didn't understand it anymore and said doubtfully. His enemy is Han Qian, and our enemy is also Han Qian. Is there a conflict? You deserve to be a publicist for the rest of your life. As long as you are smarter, I won't mind letting you give me a child. Now, no matter what Han Qian does, it is in the interest of Glory. He is only helping Yan Qingqing to keep her. Now that I have reached my current position, what impact will it have on me? The person I want to get rid of is Yan Qingqing, not Han Qian. Speaking of this Han Qian, I really feel a little regretful. Why did I not seize the opportunity for such a talent, but let him go? Yan Qingqing was caught. Sun Ya frowned and said. But once there is a conflict between Li Dongsheng and Han Qian may still be fired. Do you think Yan Qingqing will defend Han Qian to the death? If so, he has offended Li Dahai. That way he will be dismissed by the board of directors. Go, I understand, it's really useless to talk to Lin Zongheng. Not bad, I'm quite enlightened. I'll reward you once. Let's go and get hummed. That sister of yours is not very good at it, but she asked me for money. Tell me. She got it from that KTV. I won't tell you, just run away. Vote, vote. Humble Ahuan. Ask for votes online. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 79. Early in the morning, Wen Nuan dressed up and got ready to go to work. Han Qian stood at the door of the bathroom, brushed his teeth, and said vaguely, "I know your physique better than you. You won't have a stomachache if you don't eat ice cream. If you have a stomachache. What can you do to me? You're so nagging. It's okay if you don't want to eat. You're more nagging than Lao Wen." Then when he went out, Han Qian grabbed his collar and dragged him back. He squatted down and opened his warm trouser legs, and then said, "Go put on some pants if you don't want me to put them on for you." Ah! Nuan stomped upstairs step by step. Half an hour later, Han Qian held an umbrella and walked out of the community. The car had been driven away by Wen Nuan, and he was going back to the days of squeezing on the bus. Now Han Qian was scared when he saw those old men, even when he was not injured. "I am confident that I can squeeze through, and now that I am injured, I am no match for him." I saw a row of little old men wearing raincoats at the station and holding small pads in their hands. Han Qian just doesn't understand. Are those little old ladies in the park so attractive? Seeing the little old men rushing towards the bus as if they were rushing into a battlefield, Han Qian was frightened. He couldn't help but take a step back as he was far away. As a result, he accidentally bumped into the person behind him without knowing it. He hit something and felt a poke on the wound on his back. Han Qian gritted his teeth in pain, turned around and said angrily, "You didn't bring your eyes out." I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm going to be late, I'm sorry." Hearing this voice, Han Qian froze, turned around and walked away, looking around to see if there was a taxi coming. Fortunately, a taxi stopped on the side of the road. Han Qian held an umbrella and trotted. When he was about to get in the car, he heard someone coming from behind. Shouted angrily, "Han! Don't run away. It's over." Still being recognized, Han Qian urged the driver to drive, but he was still a step too slow. The door was opened, and Tong Yao got into the taxi and said angrily to Han Qian, "Han, I finally know what it means to be enemies and never get together. You made me lose my job. Now you want to steal my car from me again." Han Qian raised his hands and leaned inside, looking at nursery rhyme taking off her raincoat. Han Qian did not dare to say a word. He did hear Li Jiai say that his class teacher was fired, but he never expected to meet him here. "After living here for half a month, I don't seem to have taken the bus very often, and the two of them have different working hours. Han Qian clocks in at 9 o'clock, and Tong Yao has to go to school at 7 o'clock. Tong Yao, who took off her raincoat, snorted coldly at Han Qian, and then spoke to the driver. "Master, please go to number 3 high school." When Han Qian heard this, he realized that this was not possible. He would not be able to explain himself if he was late, so he quickly said, "Master, Glory Group." "No, I'm already late." "You're late anyway, so you just..." Wow! Han Qian couldn't speak in the middle of what he said. He didn't know where this woman came from so many tears. She cried whenever she wanted to, and she cried and howled all the time. "Han, I had to resign and leave Haihua Middle School because of you. You even made me lose my job, and now you have to fight with me for a car. Wow, I can't live anymore. I will fight with you." As soon as he finished speaking, he hit Han Qian with his head. Han Qian stretched out his hands to press Tong Yao's head and said repeatedly, "Master, number 3 high school." Until she got off the car, Tong Yao didn't say a word to Han Qian, and Han Qian didn't dare to look at her. It wasn't until she got off the car that Han Qian breathed a sigh of relief, and then he saw the girl lying directly in the puddle. Sitting in the rain, looking up and crying, hanging in the puddles while crying, the lesson plans in his arms were scattered on the ground. When Tong Yao complained to the sky, she suddenly felt that the rain was no longer falling on her body, but the sound of falling on the ground was still there. When she opened her eyes, She saw the person she least wanted to see, and the person who started her misfortune. Ever since she met Han Qian, her life has been unlucky. She was persuaded to quit her job, and then the landlord rented the other half of the house to a greasy uncle. She had to move out and live on her own. She was late today and the heels of her high heels broke and fell into a puddle. She was unlucky. Han Qian didn't say anything to comfort her. He squatted next to her and held an umbrella. He arranged the soaked books with one hand and placed them on her lap. Then he grabbed Tong Yao's hand and forced the umbrella into his hand. Got up and rushed to the taxi waiting for him in the rain. Tong Yao sat in the puddle and looked at Han Qian's back, crying loudly again. Han, don't think that I won't blame you if you gave me an umbrella. You will never be able to repay what you owe me in your lifetime. Han Qian was so frightened that he got into the car and urged the driver to drive faster. He was now afraid of women, trembling all over and feeling cold on his back. The driver drove the car, handed Han Qian a towel and smiled. Young men are not very good at dealing with feelings, right? Often things that you take for granted will turn into something else in a woman's mind. This girl will be fine if she is late today. She will not be punished for being like this. Instead, she will be punished. You might be praised for your hard work. Master. Don't sigh, it's almost 10 o'clock, Han Qian was still late and walked into the company like a drowned rat. The security guard chose to turn a blind eye to Han Qian. The staff in the lobby were not surprised by Han Qian's lateness and loss. Now Han Qian's reputation has spread in the company. Being late and leaving early is commonplace. Fighting is a pastime. Han Qian did not go to the general department, but went directly to Yan Qingqing. He remembered that the clothes he changed last time were thrown at her place, and why did he do it today? When Han Qian appeared on the 14th floor, little Yang Jia laugh broke out, and Han Qian gave her a look that was not lethal. Then he pointed to Mr. Yan's office, Xiao Yang Jia nodded, and Han Qian pushed the door open and entered. After changing clothes and walking out of the lounge, Yan Qingqing held a towel in her hand and said weakly with one hand on her chest. I won't let you drive a warm car? Even so, can you take an umbrella when you go out? Han Daxian do you really think you are a god? Han Qian took a towel and wiped his head. Yan Qingqing stepped forward and took the wet clothes from his hand and sent them to Yang Jia, asking her to find a place to wash them before sending them back. Han Qian wiped the water from his head and feebly recounted what happened in the morning. After explaining it once, Yan Qingqing closed her eyes and sighed, lamenting. I finally know why Wen Nuan divorced you. Although you are very talented, your temperament of being merciful without even knowing it is really troublesome. To make someone hate you, don't let her feel how good you are. What? I feel cool if I don't talk. I'm too lazy to talk about you. Go back to the general department and fight with Li Dongsheng. Be good. My sister will buy you some candies. Oh. Han Qian left Yan Qingqing's office confused. Why did he show mercy? She fell and I went to help. Isn't this normal? These people are really not simple-minded. I don't know if Han Qian is too naive or if there is something wrong with someone else's thinking. Most likely it's Han Qian's problem. Everyone admits that Han Qian's IQ and EQ are very high, but when it comes to treating women, he is whiter than a blank slate. Back in the general department, no one was surprised by Han Qian's lateness. They just raised their heads and took a quick look and stopped paying attention. Instead, a little girl ran towards Han Qian, hugged Han Qian's legs, and raised her head softly. Nyo called him uncle. Han Qian squatted down and endured the pain, picked up Xiao Baibei, put his head on the little girl's head, and said dotingly. Why didn't Xiao Baibei go to school? It's raining, so I won't go. I'll give you a good thing, uncle. Xiao Baibei took out a candy from his pocket, opened it and stuffed it into Han Qian's mouth. Lu Zhuolong on the side was so envious that he stepped forward and smiled. Xiao Bai, give one to uncle too. Grandpa can't eat sweets. If my teeth fall out, they won't grow back. My uncle is still young, and my uncle, and my aunt won't give me milk. Let's go. Uncle will take you to buy it. After the words fell, Qianwan smiled. Brother Qianer, you have been fooled by this little girl. She has already tricked Liang and me into buying a bottle of yogurt each. Han Qian grinned. Two idiots. Then I have to buy it for Xiao Baibei, Liang. Ask if the contract is ready. If you have time, go and get it for you, just ask for the contract. The little bully from the general department carried the little liar from the general department and left. Lu Zhuolong looked at it with envy. He also wanted to use it to please Xiao Baibei to get close to Yang Lan, but this kid didn't give him a chance at all and corrected him 800 times. Secondly, he called me uncle, but she was stunned to call him grandpa. The security guard and the front desk in the lobby on the first floor didn't want to see Han Qian anymore. Why did he go out with the child within half an hour of his arrival? Is this ancestor here to work or to play? When Han Qian came back again, Xiao Baibei had a small skull bag filled with snacks. The little lowly held Han Qian's hand and walked struttingly through the hall, one big and one small. It wasn't that Han Qian didn't want to be busy, but he really didn't know what to do now. Gao Jingxing's intervention forced him to change his plan and prepare for a later attack. Fortunately, this guy's intervention made Yan Qingqing make up his mind. Han Qian was just about to enter the elevator when a coquettish voice came from behind. Hey, my eldest nephew brings his daughter to work. Han Qian turned around and looked at Ji Jing, saying helplessly. Aunt Ji, are your eyesight dim? This is Sister Yang's precious daughter, ouch. Have you changed your clothes? I have seen Ji Jing 3 times in total. The first 2 times she was wearing a white suit. Today, the aunt changed her clothes into a purple sleeveless dress. She looked like a royal lady. Ji Jing walked past Han Qian and looked cold. He snorted, bent down and touched the little face of Xiao Baibei who was hiding behind Han Qian, and said with a smile. I told Yang Lan later that I can't let you take this little girl with you, otherwise you will inevitably fight with people in the kindergarten. Besides, if you don't go to work, why are you wandering around here? If you are free, why don't you go to the operations department to play? Auntie, it hurts you. Don't. Aunt Ji, if you catch a strong man, change it to another one. I'll be injured all over. It's okay, use your brain or your body. Yan Qingqing will fight me to the death. Han Qian took Xiao Baibei away and waved to Ji Jing with his back as he walked into the elevator. She is just my sister. My sister says purple is very charming. Ji Jing immediately stamped her feet and went crazy, shouting in shame and anger. Han Qian, you are sick. Brother Xia Tian's reward makes me very motivated. Brother cute vote. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 80. 2 idlers, one big and one small, returned to the general department. Han Qian was completely idle. He didn't know what he should do now, or that the entire general department was idle. Since the last time Han Qian went out to fight, the general department had become idle. The investigation by the ministry team was cancelled. Negotiating resettlement fees with community owners has also been left to the business department and marketing department. The general department is now not even considered a handyman. Xiao Baibei sat in Han Qian's arms, watching cartoons with headphones. Han Qian never understood the story of 2 bears and a man. If the bear is smarter, he can accept it, but how did this monkey become the king? In total, are there no tigers in this cartoon? After watching for less than 10 minutes, there was a sound of high heels outside the door of the general department. The pace was very fast and seemed to be very urgent, and then a purple figure walked into the general department. Aunt G is here. Why did she feel something was wrong when she returned to the operations department and was bullied by Han Qian like this? Yang Lan. Yang Lan. Aunt G is not a lady with a weak temper like Yang Lan, but she is somewhat similar to Yan Qingqing. Yang Lan leaned half of her body in the office and looked at Ji Jing with a puzzled look on her face and said doubtfully, "What's wrong? Something happened." Ji Jing walked up behind Han Qian, pointed at this guy and gritted her teeth. "Him. Lend me to use it for an afternoon. Now the operations department is very busy because of his plan. He is also free when he is idle. Lend me to use it." This woman's resentment was so deep that Han Qinli ignored her and held down Xiao Baibei's head, preventing her from looking back. Yang Lan walked out of the office, narrowed his eyes and smiled at Ji Jing. "Han Qian. No, he is the treasurer of our general department. If you ask for it, you can borrow it. He is idle when he is free. Lend me some for use." "No. It's okay to lend it to your operations department, but I'll lend it to you, I won't lend it to you." Puff. Qianwan couldn't help laughing, and the members of the general department were all holding back their laughter. It had been a long time since I saw Sister Yang joking with someone. Ji Jing's chest kept rising and falling, she took a deep breath and gritted her teeth. "Manager Yang, please lend Mr. Han Qian from your general department to our operations department." "That's not bad, he. Take it, take it." Yang Lan squinted her eyes and smiled, but this answer made Han Qian unable to sit still. He stood up and put Xiao Baibei on the chair with a look of reluctance. Just now, he thought that Sister Yang could insist on not borrowing anyone. How could this happen? Agreed. Turning to look at Aunt Ji, Han Qian really wanted to slap himself. Why was he teasing her downstairs when he had nothing to do? Do women not hold grudges? Just as Han Qian was about to sneak away, Yang Lan coughed slightly from behind. "Why?" Han Qian straightened up and said helplessly. "Sister Yang, can you not go?" Yang Lan smiled softly. "Hey, go to the operations department and have a look. Otherwise, I'm going to ask you to go to the operations department and the marketing department recently. You proposed the plan. It's better for you to go and find out about it. In case something goes wrong later, the result is different from what was expected, you have a headache, and Mr. Yan also has a headache." As soon as he finished speaking, Ji Jing was unhappy and said, "Hey? Yang Lan, what you said is wrong. Why do you say that our operations department is like trash? What? Now that your general department has a front person, you look down on our operations department. Ha 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 ha." Now Yang Lan no longer has to worry about his image. He has never been so proud in the past few years. They usually say that our general department is just for food. Today is the time when you come to the general department to borrow people. In the past, I was all too proud to ask you for help, but today I will definitely not save face for Ji Jing. No personal emotions should be involved in work. Han Qian glanced at Ji Jing up and down and curled his lips. "Aunt Ji, are you leaving? If you don't leave, I will get off work." Ji Jing changed her face instantly, pinched Han Qian's collar with 2 fingers, and said with a smile, "Let's go, my eldest nephew." Snapped. Han Qian mercilessly slapped Ji Jing's hand off. This slap was considered to be an accident. Ji Jing looked at the hand that was slapped on the back and screamed, turned around and ran away. In the bathroom on the 9th floor, Han Qian leaned on the door frame and looked at Ji Jing, who was washing her hands over and over again, curling her lips and saying sarcastically, "Aunt Ji, I'll touch you and you'll shed your skin. Do you think I'll give you a hug someday? Do you have to sterilize yourself in a pressure cooker?" Ji Jing has washed her hands 4 times now. Looking at the figure reflected in the mirror, Ji Jing gritted her teeth. "I won't put myself in a pressure cooker, but I will definitely cook you. Han Qian. From now on, you must be more than 3 meters away from me, or I will call you molestation. I'm not interested in auntie. I have to say, your purple color is quite charming. I'm talking about the back. Ji Jing stopped talking. When she turned around, she kicked Han Qian. Han Qian didn't dare to touch Ji Jing this time. Everyone has a little quirk, and you have to have a certain temper when joking. But there is no mercy. Huh? Pikachu. Get lost. It definitely couldn't be Pikachu, and Han Qian didn't see it either. Han Qian walked into the operations department, and immediately there were a few exclamations, and then there were whispers. Some were talking about Han Qian's appearance, some were discussing his background, and some were saying that you should not mess with this guy. He is an absolute violent maniac. Plus no quality. Of course, most of them were still scolding him, because it was because of his plan that the staff in the operations department were busy. Han Qian sat on the chair as carelessly as an uncle and spoke to Ji Jing, who was standing 3 meters away. Show me the operational planning you are doing now. Get out. I didn't ask you to come here to pretend to be a boss. You didn't just talk about the operating model in general during the high-level meeting. You explained it to them. I'm thirsty. Seeing that Ji Jing was about to get angry, Han Qian said quickly. I'll go back to the general department and have a drink later. I'll say it again. If you think that I, Han Qian, am better at showing off, or if you don't like me, you can ignore it. I don't know much about operations. I'm so energetic right now. It's because you, the minister, and the manager arrested me just like you did the workers, it's just that I don't like it. The overall quality of the operations department is much higher than that of the general department. The big guys didn't say they disliked Han Qian. Now they also understand that this guy was brought here to help by Manager Ji, and the quality of the operation has little to do with him. Everyone was looking at Han Qian seriously. They also knew that this guy had a lot of skills. Han Qian explained the general operating model to everyone, and finally summed it up in 3 words. Landlady. It's probably like what I said. The whole thing is to focus on the high-end atmosphere to improve the quality. In fact, there is no operation. We just pay attention to order, clean the house, and occasionally hold anti-counterfeiting activities on March 15th. Now we just need to make a rough plan and show it to the superiors. The key points of this planner are in the hands of the marketing department, so don't work too hard. The people in the operations department smiled and nodded. Seeing that it was almost done, Han Qian turned to look at Ji Jing and whispered. Is it done? Can I leave? Ji Jing tilted her head and looked at Han Qian and said softly. What do you think? I asked Yang Lan to borrow you for an afternoon, and you want to leave now? Wait a minute, and I'll ask the marketing department if they need you. If so, I'll send it to you. Han Qian was immediately unhappy when he heard this. He stood up and roared angrily. What's going on? I'm in a public place. It's noon and I want to eat. You mean I have to take care of your lunch? Then it's better to be respectful than to obey. The public Han Daxian will inform the group about the time of updates every day. Occasionally, I will read the opinions in the group and see when it will explode. Then, the voting and recommendation votes are of little use to you, but to me. It's very important. Then there is the monthly ticket. If the monthly ticket reaches a certain amount, I may get a small bonus.